First, I have the question, what is your favorite role and why? In 2 phrases. Then we will make a breakout room where I will ask you to discuss your needs that have to be fulfilled in a role. And the last one is what you brought to your client employer group or humanity or whatever you want to talk about. That will be again in the group. So we have to be a bit um, kind of condensed. That's why I ask you to answer the first question in 2 phrases. What is your favorite role and why? And Fiona, you're nodding and you are first in my picture.
Let me just unmute. Yeah, I thought about this a lot, and I realized that in any dialogue where there's a reciprocal learning possibility, I love that. I'm so at ease, and I love that. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Aaron, please.
Hey, hello everybody. My favorite role is to make people happy and smile. And why? Because it makes me happy and I'll smile.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Maria.
Hi, I was just thinking that I totally agree with Aaron, and I love making people happy and at ease, and I love also I love absorbing information. So my favorite role maybe is just to be myself and trying to, to be pleasant and happy. Yeah, spread good vibes. Yeah.
Thank you. Alan, please.
Okay, so basically, I like to be a door opener. I like to open the door to what's been shut out of sight and mind. And that actually covers an enormous range of activities. I'm a naturalist, and I'm very aware that many people have shut the outdoors and the extraordinary diversity of life that exists outdoors out of sight and out of mind. They have no knowledge of it. So one of the things I love doing is, say, taking a group of people up to a tree covered in lichens and mosses with a hand lens and ask them to have a look. And I usually say to them, within 10 seconds, I shall show you something you've never seen in your life before. And it's usually true.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alan. And I was just having a discussion before this meeting, and I was thinking, why can I not pay attention like my doctor colleagues for 3 hours? And it's actually, I need nature. I need a natural environment, a colorful natural environment. And this is not present in a closed room. So thank you for that. John, please. You have to unmute yourself, please.
Okay. My favorite role, I don't know, I think participating in a great adventure. That's my favorite role.
And why?
Because I feel I'm here for a purpose, which is about waking people up. That's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Barbara, please.
I think my favorite role is showing people different points of view. It often doesn't make me very popular, but I can't help but see systems, and I can't help but work with trying to improve systems, which often means I'm the voice out there saying, have you noticed what's wrong with your system? Have you noticed what you're missing?
I love that. And this is so dearly needed. Thank you for doing that, Barbara. Steve, please.
My favorite role is dealing with excited adults who who have their inner child conspicuously there.
And why?
I'm sorry?
And why?
Because that's where I get my energy. And I've been thinking about what a construct definition for polymath is. And it's beginning to occur to me that many of us are adults who've never abandoned their childhood. And
Yeah.
so they have the wonder of the children. And
Yes.
those are the people who are most fun to deal with. Those are the people who are least defensive. Those are the people who have the fewest barriers. And that's what I like about this group.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I agree with you. Roy, please.
Oh, I didn't know you. I'm in the process of actually writing it out here, but anyway, I can say maybe I can stumble forward here. My my role in life is to follow my soul's longings, and in order to do that, I have to identify what are my soul's longings, and it seems like there's a pattern over decades of my life. And I recognize that I'm a bridge person between people, and but between people in a certain kind of context, which has to do with the continual opening of the future toward what is possible and how to best save humans on this planet in relation to our planet. There's a lot more to it, but that's a summary of what I'm drawn toward.
Thank you so much. I think you nearly respected the 2 sentences. Eva, please.
It was a very hard one. I've been thinking about it all day, and then it clicked right now, right here. I like the role of the clown, and I think that's coming from my personal relationships, but also I guess that's what in professional context, a different kind of clowning. But yes, the kind of composite of a naive and wise. And the reason why I like it is because it is playful and free, and that's the only way to be.
This is so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. I have observed that all the great comedians are polymaths. I need to know one that is really a great comedian and is not a polymath.
Well, it's not just clowning is not simply having fun though. It's a very serious business. It's kind of showing a mirror. Yes.
Thank you. Jake, please.
My favorite role is to be the person that sees all the other roles that are being played in a system, both in a healthy way, the way that people are relating to each other, and also the way that people are being stuck in a kind of a dead or fossilized idea of what their role should be. And the best thing is when I can do that to myself, when I can see the roles that I'm playing and the roles I'm stuck in as well, because that is suddenly liberating. You know, if I can go from being the long-suffering husband and father that feels that everybody else is crap to the awareness that sees that going on and just kind of smiles at it. Oof. Fantastic.
That's so nice you saying that. And I had an internal video popping up illustrating that somehow. Robin, please.
Yeah. For me, my favorite role is not doing the same thing day in, day out. I've also written, being able to use my mix of energies, ideas, helping others, seeing the bigger jigsaw puzzle and collecting more jigsaw pieces. I said, unfortunately, a little thing called income gets in the way somewhat, but there's my energies. Good, even mix.
Thank you, Robin. What are the colors called? You can tell the name of your system.
They're called proclivities. It's part of the GT index, the game-changing index, which helps people identify their potential to make an impact. Most people don't know them.
Yeah, and I think maybe somebody sees that in the video and is interested to come to you then. Thank you. Lee, please.
I'll be cheeky and go for 2 in 2 sentences. So in work, I love innovating, sort of pulling together disparate things and generating something new. And generally, I kind of love instilling a awe and fascination with knowledge that exists today, but most people aren't aware of it or how to interpret it.
Thank you. Crystal, please.
Hello. So for me, I think I'm pretty much like Barbara, but I call myself rather a challenger and creator. And it's because since childhood, I think I have been this painful child who is always asking why for everything. And that's mainly, I think, for the reason because I don't like when people say I cannot do this, or it's not allowed, or this doesn't work. I mean, for me, these sentences basically do not exist.
And why is it like this?
Yeah, because I think that everything is possible and there is always a solution. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Crystal. I agree with that. We have to just find it. Dana, please.
Hello. 2 sentences. Next door magical girl. Think of any kind of Pollyanna creature. Anne of Green Gables, Pollyanna, if she's got magical powers to boot. That's my favorite role. And what that translates to in practice is being able to use my gifts to bring joy to others through art, through helping them with languages, through helping them connect. End.
Thank you. Sylvain, please.
Hi everyone, this is my first time, and I think my role is quite fitting. I think I like to be a host, not only because I like cooking, but more so the welcomer. I'm always drawn to people who kind of like are in their little corner, and because I like to make people feel welcome, and because I'm interested in what people have to offer and what they have to say about themselves, and I always like to make people feel welcome and be part of a whole.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. So maybe you have one word, I didn't plan that, but to say 1 to 3 words to say a profession where you actually have this role. Fiona, you're the first again. You need to unmute.
Okay, yeah, start again. Of course, I've now lost the question. Something about when I was able to. Please say.
Role,
Yeah.
like a professional role, so people can kind of imagine what role that could be. What we all mentioned.
I guess as an academic, actually, and I worked mainly in small groups, tutor groups with students, and they were all adults, and we were in the business of learning and development, actually, and I loved that. Facilitating their development and learning with them. So, and I also work as an executive coach supervisor, and it's the same process. And I probably could never have imagined I would still love my work at this stage of my life, but I do. So
this is wonderful. Okay, Ray, you disrupted my picture by raising your hand, and then my picture is like somebody else is where he wasn't before. So you can talk now, and please 3 words for this question. Max.
Let's hold off. I'll hold off until another time around.
Okay, so I will come back to you. Aaron, please.
3 words.
3 words for a professional role that you could live these roles in.
Professionalism, pride, and
like a job. Did you have a job where you could actually live that?
Yeah, sure. I'm a trainer, so I can do it all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Maria, please.
Actually, I think in all my jobs I've been able to do it because now I'm the director of artist relations, where I'm thriving with the team, you know, so I'm able to spread good vibes. And then I used to be an editor for the arts. I've done a curator and a head chef. So in every job experience, I could enjoy it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Ellen, please.
Educator. Essentially, although what I found was that the academic system constrained me very severely, and I did what I wanted to nonetheless, in terms of trying to open students' eyes to possibilities that weren't normally known to them.
So you were just needing your own university, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I taught a course called Life, Environment and People, which was totally innovative, but was hated by my colleagues.
And loved by the students. I know because we've talked about it earlier in an interview.
Yeah.
Thank you. John, please. John Rainford.
I think we're talking still about roles, or
we're talking about a professional role where you could actually do the things you, the favorite roles.
I suppose really I'm thrust into education. Don't fit into any system whatsoever. Worked in universities. Well, found them, as Alan said, a bit frustrating, to say the least. So, and I've always worked on 20-year business plans and 50-year business plans, crazy stuff. And I'm waiting for the universities to catch up. In my lifetime.
Thank you so much. These are more than 3 words, but it was fantastic. Thank you so much. Barbara, please.
Software system designer. Software that works for people, not for the computer.
Thank you so much. And I like to point out that software programming was told to me that it's a creative job, and I never knew it, so I say it.
Not programming. Absolutely not programming.
Oh, not programming.
Yeah, but designing.
Design. Okay. So, wonderful.
Yeah, and it's a big difference.
Yes.
You know, if I had to write code, I would kill myself.
Okay. So that's not your key field of interest. Thank you so much, Barbara. No. Steve, please.
What I do now, which is to run a design research lab and engage with people through knowledge and emotion.
Thank you. Eva, please.
I am very similar to Ellen in this regard. So, educator, yes. And I wish I could also be taken seriously when I clown in research. That never happens.
Thank you so much. Jake, please. You need to unmute yourself. Thank you.
In 3 words, the last role where I acted the way I would like to be able to act was a redundant program manager. So I was given 6 months notice of redundancy and asked to spend those 6 months troubleshooting or looking after a program that was a bit sickly. And I did the work. I gave it my best shot. And knowing that I was heading out the door freed me up to say exactly what I thought and be completely uninhibited, which I should have been all along, but sometimes it takes that. And it was great. I won't say I turned it around. I allowed it to see itself and turn itself around because they had all the right people with all the right skills. They were just pointing in the wrong direction, banging their heads against the wall or against each other. So I was able to play the role of being the person that sees the roles and free people up to make a right move.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jake. Robin, please. A role in not more than 3 words that you could actually be that.
Game-changing advisor.
Bing. Thank you. Lee, please.
What's that, Lee? So, neurotechnology design, sort of software, hardware methodology.
Thank you. Crystal, please.
So I used to be a productivity project manager, and today I have chosen to be Agile Business Management Mentor. It is 4 words, not 3 anymore.
What business? Can you say it again?
Agile Business Management Mentor.
You cannot say 3 words if it's a 4-word title. Thank you so much. Donna, please.
Multidisciplinary healer and leader.
Was that a role that you could have, a role that you actually had worked in?
Nope, it's one I'm going to create. This is what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Thank you. Selva, please.
It's really funny. For the welcomer, the first thing that sprang to mind was maître d' or maître d'hôtel, as they say. But having a deeper think about it, actually, I prefer spiritual healer.
Thank you so much. John, you just popped in. We are talking about the favorite role today, and you need to say where you could do your favorite roles in 3 words.
Is that me, John?
Yes.
One word, Barbara.
Good.
Amanuensis.
What?
Amanuensis. I'll go Google it, right? But that's it. 1 word. I'm done.
A man who answers. No.
Sorry, it's Latin. It's Latin. I think it's just amanuensis. 1 word.
Oh, okay,
I'm gonna look it up.
Jake is the one who can actually talk Latin fluently, and he put it in the chat. Thank you so much.
Is that the same word as a lab rat, John?
I don't. And can you tell also what it means?
It's so fun, right? An amanuensis originally was a guy who followed around the senior monk in the monastery in the Middle Ages and just wrote down everything that happened, right? He was a recording device, right? But it's far greater than that, because the amanuensis is there. It's another consciousness bearing entity, right? If you ever go in for a job negotiation, if you go for a discussion with your best friend, let alone your partner, your spouse, or anything else, you want to have an amanuensis, because the amanuensis isn't on your side. He's not telling you what to do or anything else. He's just there. He's not just listening. He's listening. He, she, they are listening. They are paying attention.
Super. Thank you so much. And we will publish in this video anyway. You didn't know it.
Thank God.
And I say something which I found a role. I never had it actually, but I would love it as a polymath. Chester to the board, where I could just be in the middle of where everything comes to get together, and then disperse the advice and have the awareness of everything that's happened. So now we're going to the breakout rooms, and the question there is my needs that have to be fulfilled in a role. I say it again, my needs that have to be fulfilled in a role. And I need to make those breakout rooms. I'll give you 6 minutes for that. 3 minutes per person.
2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So it's 9 minutes. I don't know. You're in room 4, Eva.
It's the liberty to create. I mean, that's kind of, I am able to express and propose and kind of see the different possibilities what are around. So it's a bit about understanding it. It's a bit same, but with a different angle maybe.
Yeah, it also helps when there's this sense of sort of fun, the sort of freedom to create, but also just freedom for people to be themselves and be less formal, and just have a sense of sort of collective belonging, that you're doing things as part of a group and everybody's different, but you can play equally important roles. Yeah. And for me personally, lack of hierarchy helps a lot. It's a very tall hierarchy. I just feel it has a formalism that doesn't really work very well. When it's quite flat, then suddenly you can get these emergent properties where you get, you know, some achievements from a team that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and then for me, I mean, what doesn't really work is monotony. I mean, it always has to be kind of driven, or there must be a goal, objective, something that needs to be achieved or created. Because if I'm put into a frame that I have to move the cups, let's say, from A to B, then this will not work for me. I mean, I will die from boredom.
Right. No, I don't really have much to add. You know, when we teach, I mean, I understand that you're both are teaching, and I'm also instructing, and of course, then you have a group listening to you. You know, what needs to be fulfilled in a role. I think to be seen as a not as a teacher, but as a pupil. I think that's very important from philosophy. So you are the learner, not the teacher, inside of a learning environment, not in a teaching environment. I think that's a very important part of my job now, because when I work with teams worldwide, you know, I train in oil and gas operations. It is to become one with the group rather than to be standing on your pulpit and then, you know, shouting down like the reverend in the church. So
I found in between the physical world, the spiritual world, and I think that confidence is within everybody, just as anxiety is, and that it's a constant battle for every living soul. I think that's all.
So, Barbara, I see you've appeared on the screen.
Yes, I appeared on the screen.
And you know, in a way, I started it off talking about my own difficulties with anxiety, but I'm sort of a need. And in the end, I came up with a phrase which kind of just off the cuff, but the phrase that came up was critical companionship. That is, you know, a truly supportive companionship, which is well-informed, discerning. There's one person in this dialogue that you have today that has given me that critical companionship now for a great number of years, and that's Roy Reynolds.
Nice.
But he's a person who I feel free to almost say anything to, and who I can sort of recognize that he's going to both listen and accept what's acceptable and not accept what's not acceptable. And that's actually really important.
Beautiful. Thank you. Do you need more time?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something, because we were talking about that the polymaths will have anxiety and the confidence, and then John said that you can't build up the confidence. But guys, don't you think it's very difficult not to be have a little bit of anxiety, because we are people that we challenge ourselves all the time? So it's impossible. I mean, like, I know some people that they say, yeah, you have to be confident. Yeah, I am confident, and as soon as I'm confident with something, the universe brings something else on my table, and then it's when it comes up. Maybe it's not the right word, anxiety, but I think anxiety is not a bad thing sometimes. Don't you think? It just comes with the job, you know. You change the job, you are very ambitious, you want to challenge, and you get nervous. Or like, just from my point of view, I don't see anxiety as a very bad thing. I think it's like being a kid. You feel anxious as well and excited.
If you never cross your boundaries, you will never be anxious.
Thank you so much. That's sadly.
I think I say that I will close the breakout rooms. Or is that okay for you? Good.
Yeah, we can talk more if you
Then
want.
we
but-
still have a minute. I will go to another room to give you some privacy. I'll leave it. Welcome back, everybody. Who wants to? It's not everybody's back. I think now everybody's back. Who wants to share what was discussed in the breakout rooms?
John, why don't you jump in because you've had the energy today?
What's the theme, Steve? What's the theme from the three of us, do you think? What's the common thread? Oh, I know it.
Go ahead.
Well, the common thread is how we were talking about. Steve was mentioning that one of the features of a polymath is that we're adults who have workable, even joyous access to our child, right? And Eva didn't pile on right in, but her point about clowning. What is clowning, right? Clowning is allowing that child to surface and be, and to express. And I tried to close it out. I tried to wrap it up by talking about, the function of the amanuensis is, yes, to listen, to attend, maybe once in a while throw in a really provocative question like, could you walk me through that again? Could you explain that to me one more time? Right? Really provocative, right? But it's the same thing, right? The amanuensis is there to connect the consciousnesses that are in the room, that are in the space, and to connect, going back to the inner child, right? To connect the consciousnesses and the feelings and the hearts, to connect as much as is possible, as much as all the people in the room want to connect, and no more. All right. Now, of course, to connect as much as possible with as much as all the people want to connect, they might not know how much they want to connect because they might have a governor. The governing impulse is like, oh, you don't talk to me. You don't connect on this level, but you want to connect with people as their whole self wants to be connected with, as much, but no more. But you want to bring it, you want to be as alive as possible, as The Price is Right used to teach us, right? Get as close to the price without going over. Don't go over.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Can I
John.
also say that for me also it's about silencing the prejudice or the preconception, silencing the silence that we also talked about, the listening, to kind of be available and have that perception and insight that is only available that way. Yeah, so it's a sustenance as well. Like it's what sustains, isn't it? It's otherwise it's the end.
Thank you. So who else wants to say what the question was actually my needs that I have to be fulfilled in a role. Who else was talking about this? Roy, please.
Fiona and Barbara Brown and I were in the circle together. And what we ended up chatting about, at least in my words, would be to be part of and to help create a small wisdom circles for mutual learning and collaborative creativity.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Who else wants to share?
I'll say something just now because Roy has appeared, and I came up with a phrase during our conversation which relates also to the fact that all polymaths retain their inner child, which to some extent also makes us extremely vulnerable and can give rise to anxiety. In my case, it does. But the phrase I came up with, and I thought especially of Roy when I mentioned this phrase, was critical companionship. Some people who can listen, accept what's acceptable, and not accept what's not acceptable. It's really quite important for anyone who sort of, or experiments and goes out on a limb.
Thank you, Ellen. Who else wants to share?
Just one wee thing, Ellen. I love that. I sometimes call myself a journey companion. Same idea.
Thank you. Who else?
Well, our group don't see
Dana.
I don't
Sorry.
see any volunteers here, Crystal or Lee. No problem. What did we talk about? We talk about some.
Oh, sorry. Aaron is talking. Donna, you're next.
Okay.
Oh, I was talking. Okay. So I need help, guys. Lee and Crystal.
I think maybe a common thread was
we
not
were
so much
talking
what
about
you want.
Spain and all that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but not necessarily being limited in your capacity to do your job. So, I mean, companies are fairly hierarchical. There's limitations, and having the freedom and autonomy to work with people how you work best and to innovate and come up with creative ideas. So, I think we had a bit of commonality there.
Yeah, I mentioned to be a pupil, not a teacher.
Yeah.
In every class. You know, not the you always, because everybody's always learning.
True. Thank you so much, Donna. Now.
Thank you. So I was in the same group with Sylvan and Jake, and we discussed the topic. And we said that we need respect, open-mindedness, a necessary distance. So you don't want to be so much into the job that it becomes a part of you, but you also don't want to be out here being like, hey guys, do this thing, do that thing. Okay. All right. So that balance. And also the freedom to be who we are, while at the same time receiving the support to keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you so much. This is excellent. And I think business needs to know that about Polymaths. Thank you. Anyone else wants to share?
Yeah, I mean, I will just maybe say also a couple of words from our group, that it was also about being understood and having the liberty to create. So that, I mean, we are not stuck with one idea, but we really can absorb and see the new horizons.
Yeah, I would like to echo that. I think what is important is to have a certain degree of independence, but at the same time, some guidance as well when we need it, which doesn't mean to be told what to do, but to have the independence to make the connections between different disciplines, departments, but also to have the guidance to be able to do your job as is expected from you when we need some guidance. That's important as well.
Thank you so much. So I think we know now a lot of needs that we have. And now I want to come to the last question, unless there is an important need that we didn't discuss, because I think that's important as well. What did you bring? And now I have to kind of formulate a bit openly to your client, employer group, or business, or whatever context you were working in, or pupils, or so. What is it you bring to them? And you have to also kind of bundle your answer a little bit. I start again with Fiona.
I think what I brought was my curiosity, my imagination, and my heart.
And what did they get from that?
They felt accepted and able to be themselves and to learn in a climate of safety. And we had fun.
And I think they grew through that.
Yeah, I used to take them on nature walks as well. There was a lovely botanical garden in the university where I worked, and we would sometimes just walk around the garden and notice what we noticed. So
That's wonderful. That's a mindfulness garden walk. I love it.
Yes.
John, please. What did the business get out of having you and giving you what you need?
I think inspiration. I can relate to Fiona's description about imagination because I'm totally crazy. So I've always brought some other aspect of a direction which people wouldn't have necessarily recognized straight away. So I can see things a lot more holistically and where things are going. So certainly inspiration, because I get fired up about the direction they're going in. And the imagination says, well, we've got other choices here, which you didn't realize that you had. And I think I'm usually good at that because I'm a little bit creative and a bit crazy at the same time.
Thank you so much. John Granholm.
I think for me, right, what did the company, what did they get? What did the client get? They got, they got an insight. They got a veil or veils lifted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say, and they got joy. But I'm not sure that those two things are different. I don't know if it's an and. I think there's joy in insight. I think there's joy in lifting veils, but we don't need to debate this.
Thank you. Jake, what did your company that you were connecting all those professions with or all those roles with get from you?
I think it's similar to what's been said. They got honesty and clarity, which they were not capable of generating by themselves.
And what did that lead to?
It led to unblocking a way forward. They weren't able to do the things they wanted to do because they got in their own way with organizational dysfunction, stuckness, messed up dynamics, all the stuff everyone's familiar with. They needed someone who had the necessary distance to not be embedded in that, to see it clearly, and to hopefully
innovation, progress, all those things became possible because you had this role between roles.
Exactly.
Thank you. Aaron, please.
Writing down two words: reward and potentiality.
And what did this lead to?
Well, it's like, I think they both lead from the reward potentiality to the reward and potentiality. I see it like that. So it's an unlimited potentiality that is then come out from these interactions.
And what tangible results?
Growth in knowledge, maybe growth in information. Yeah.
So if I imagine what role, I know what role you had, I could say maybe that they didn't make mistakes that they would have done.
They would have what?
Some roles that you have, I think, would have led to people not making mistakes that would have been detrimental.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, hopefully, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know that, but people don't know it. So that's well, what I want to tickle out of you here.
What I think is like I try to tell them how not to do the wrong thing right. That's it.
And then maybe some explosion didn't happen in the end of it.
Oh yeah, there is a risk in our business that we can prevent the incidents and accidents, sure. So not doing the wrong thing right. This is a big point. Right.
Thank you so much. Steve, please.
Yeah, well, since I work for myself, I'll reference it to clients. And I think what I try to bring is joy, hyper focus, and a happy skepticism. And I think that leads to empowerment. I think that my clients come to me without the necessary beliefs in themselves and without the necessary beliefs in their power, as some of the women here said today. And what my process does to them is brings them back to the best of their childhood, brings them back to intellectual clarity, and gives them empowerment.
And what tangible results? That they get money or payment or whatever you give them for.
Well, for example, I work in the sound quality field, and as I tell all my clients, your goals are way too low. Your goals need to be very high, because doing things extraordinarily is the same effort as doing them ordinarily. And so they did a much better job as a result of being empowered to be able to do anything. In other words, to be brought back to their childhood when they didn't believe they had limits.
And they could work much more focused, and it helped all the people with autism spectrum and stuff like this.
Well, that's right. And it took them off the hook. They didn't have to be people being watched by their own management. They were children around a table having fun.
Thank you. You know where I'm steering a little bit to the tangible results that a business could or somebody could actually have from us. It's great to have the ideas, but also to have the what's the outcome for, what's in it for me from another side, from the other side that would give you a job. Sylvain.
I think it's, at least for my clients or prior companies, it's better communication and image through simplicity. And a word that's been used a lot here is also clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of myself as being able to kind of like cut through the fluff and you know, bring whatever communications or writing or difficult concepts, especially in finance, into something very simple, or as simple as can be, while still transmitting the message, especially on the marketing side. So, and also to be able to do that in different languages. And I think the end result is a better image, obviously, whether it comes to brand and also internal as well as external communications, as I said, within the company and to the outside world through their marketing and advertising efforts.
So ultimately, they got more aligned clients through what you're doing, or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not only clients, because marketing reaches beyond that. It's not only existing clients, but it's attracting more prospects through a simpler message, through something much clearer, just to, in a word, uncomplexify things in a complex world.
Thank you. Dana, please.
Imagination, knowledge, and empathy that created a good learning environment. I have to distinguish between my employers and my students, because my employers often don't appreciate what I do. So, but my students, on the other hand, I've just been invited to one of their weddings. So also a lot of them, I teach in Japan. I taught in Japan for a long time. Long story short, some of them have gone on to do degrees in English in foreign countries. So I think I've given them inspiration and the strength to follow through is what I like to think.
Thank you so much. Lee, please.
So I think in different jobs, the consistent things have been having sort of a flexible, adaptable skill set, been able to sort of share a vision at many levels and contribute to expanding it. And then sort of the ability to listen, learn, and be a facilitating communicator. Those seem to be common threads.
And that led to, I just fantasize and you have to correct me, things actually get done that wouldn't even have been discovered, or what would you say?
So for example, in the current company, so sort of took the Microsoft Kinect, you remember that? It was like a gaming device to do motion tracking of human movement, and took that and merged it with virtual environments. This is like more than 10 years ago, but it was the world's first sort of application where you could actually have a 3D projector, see an environment in 3D, but then we used sort of gaming technology and worked it in to actually track your body. And then, for example, for soccer players, while they're doing a cognitive exercise, would have footballs come out, but if they physically reached out like a goalkeeper, they could bounce the ball back and stop it, and they would get a sound, and it would sort of feel like it touched your hands, you know, even though it's just a 3D projector screen, which hadn't been done before. So, you know, that sort of thing, you have to be able to work with many different people, the lab, the scientists, get the methodology correct, technology. So I think that ability to, if you can understand what the challenge is, what the possibilities are, what the vision can be, then you wouldn't come up with something innovative like that because you'd just be stuck in a rut. So that's where I think that's an example I think of.
Thank you so much. Maria, please.
Okay, it's for me, it's passion, compassion, creativity, bringing a holistic approach that brings to growth. It leads to growth. So those are the ones.
Thank you. Eva, please.
I think it's pretty similar in many ways for an educator. It's a two-edged sword. So maybe the employer is less enthusiastic than the students. Yeah, genuine opportunities for learning. I think genuine, memorable. That's for sure. And maybe when I'm thinking about some of the student feedback, when it's critical, the best criticism I received was that she has to learn to answer questions. I thought that was amazing. I obviously don't answer the questions. What make them answer the questions themselves? Or maybe ask further questions. Anyway, so yes, memorable opportunities for learning.
Thank you so much. John Rainford.
I'm not sure where to take it really from here. So I'm more than happy to listen to what people want to say. Bit of a stumbling block, I think.
Okay, thank you. Alan, please.
That word inspiration, once again, in the sense of eye-opening. And I mean eye-opening, spelt both E-Y-E and with an I.
Thank you so much. Barbara, please.
What I was able to do is go down into the middle and the bottom of an organization and show management what the system was like there, so that they could see how the software would be able to work with it properly. And actual result, this happened to be something called SAP, which was an older ERP program. And in all of the oil patch, the big guys had not been able to implement it because they didn't do this. And I led a group whose job it was to show that system and how it would be used to management, so we could make better decisions. And we were the first one to actually be able to implement it and go live in the oil patch. So it was pretty impressive, actually.
Wonderful. Crystal, please.
Okay, so just for a context, so I used to be a EU supply chain controller for 10 manufacturing entities. And so for me, what I brought to that organization was really out-of-box thinking. And I also brought a multicultural understanding for different teams. And so what I created is I actually made these teams who didn't speak to each other in 10 different countries actually to start working together. And as a result, I improved the processes, which eliminated the waste in the working patterns. And as a result, we made up 5% of annual saving, which let's say out of a huge $1 million budget, not 1 million, but millions of dollars of budget, with the condition that part of it, all the teams could use for the team building. So company was happy and we were happy as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Crystal. Roy, please.
Thank you so much. This is really engaging, and you know, your question has led us into some really wonderful reflections together here. I'm going to summarize mine, and it's definitely about insight, but it's curiosity, insight, and collaborative creativity. And the context for that is for me to facilitate small wisdom circles. I'd say less than 10 people, you know, in these circles. And what are we doing it for? It's for personal, social, and cultural change that heals relations with each other and with the natural world. Yeah.
Thank you. Did everyone speak in this round? Okay, so thank you so much for coming today. And this time I will share the recording. And thank you for being you and for being who you are. We see this eclectic mix of people and what we can all bring to the business. I think we could have drilled out much more in a longer conversation, but to kind of have a polymath appetizer, this was brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Barbara.